One of the great things I like about living here is that you don't have to be in the middle of nowhere to be in the middle of nowhere. My house is right by the A470, the main route from North to South Wales, and yet you've only got to step 20 yards to get away from it, and you know, you're right on my mile of the river where nature's everywhere and anything can happen. The beautiful morning. There's a nuthatch on the beech tree over there. The hound of the Baskervilles in the distance, and my dog Ben. My mile of the river is in Rhayader, or Rhayader it should be called. Rhayader, little town right on the crossroads between the old Drovers Road between Aberystwyth and Hereford and the main north-south route from North Wales to South Wales. It's been a place of meetings and crossings and markets and happening for hundreds, probably thousands of years now, and now it's where I call home. And it's absolutely central. The whole reason why this town's here, the whole reason why I think it's still here, is the River Wye. And that's the reason I've stayed here too. We come over the bridge into the woods. And these woods where we are is really a valley within a valley. You have the wider valley, maybe 30 feet above our heads, which is, you know, the width of the full glaciated version of the Wye. And we've got the little narrow channel which it rushes through now. Because we're only about 15 miles from Plynlimmon, where the Wye and the Severn have their source. So here it's a really young and vigorous river, rushing past, sometimes like it is now, only about 15 feet across, other times in full spate, much wider, much deeper, and taking a lot more of this little valley in the bigger valley. And here it's rushing past us, rushing past a mixture of great big rocks and boulders, of gravel and shale, and that gives it a unique character, and it means it's changing much faster here. The valley, of course, is wide and a U-shape. A U-shape, well, why? Because the River Wye was glaciated. U-shape, as my friend Peter Strojan, the geologist, would say when I asked him, can you tell me something about the geology of the Wye, Peter? He said, you can sum it up in one word: ice.
The Wye itself, these rivers have been established. They probably started off in the Miocene, probably about 30 million years ago. But what makes them the way they are now is the fact that they have been glaciated in the last 2 to 3 million years, the last of which ended about 10,000 years ago. Ice has this way of sculpting and tearing at the rocks.
Mother Plynlimmon had 3 daughters, Rhayader, Severn and Wye, and one day she bade them all a kind farewell and told them to make their way to the sea. Rhayader was a good girl and always did exactly what her mother wanted, so she went straight to the sea, taking the most direct route and entering the sea at Aberystwyth. Severn was Mother Plynlimmon's eldest daughter, and she thought she was by far the most beautiful and the most important. So she took a lot longer to get to the sea, and by the time she'd got there she was all swelled up with her own importance. But Wye went her own way, in a different direction, and she was so entranced with the beauty of the land she passed through that she paused to look over her shoulder and went here and there because she was so taken with the beauty of the countryside and the wealth of its people. And that is why, even though the Wye starts from the same place as the Severn and enters the sea at the same place as her big sister, she travels twice as far in doing it and takes twice as long to get there.
Oh, it's a lovely story. Well, in fact, the Severn is the longer of the 2 rivers, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the simple truth is they both start on what was originally a flat surface, which, believe it or not, was the sub-Cretaceous sea floor where the chalk was deposited. And since the Cretaceous, that's been uplifted into a warped surface, and the rivers are probably following original slopes. And no, it's not quite as poetic, but it probably has a little bit more
truth about it. Yeah. We're in Pete's garden, which, like mine, is right next to the river.
Mine's closer, sir.
It is closer. Actually, sometimes your garden is the river, isn't it? In a good flood. Why did you choose to live here?
I like rivers. And to be honest, when I'm not here, I can't sleep well at night because I can't hear the river. You just get used to listening to the tinkle of the river all the time. And of course the roar of the waterfall. And
we're coming right down into the woods on the western side. And it's fantastic at this time of year. I think sometimes the fact that I've got this strange, rare visual impairment, which means that I see everything far more like an impressionist painting, far more like a Van Gogh or a Manet than somebody who sees it like a photograph, really adds to it. You can't help but think that those medieval masons who made the big cathedrals of the Middle Ages must have taken their inspiration from the woods. Dappled light coming down through the trees, breaking up into fragments of green and red and blue. Fantastic. But that's not what we're looking for today. Today we are in search of yaffling. It's a very peculiar noise. The noise of the yaffle. Over there is my house, Funanvire, Mary's Well. Every morning, the first thing that I can hear when I wake up, if there isn't any traffic, is the river. Even before you open the window sometimes. The last thing at night I hear as I'm drifting off to sleep is the babble of the river. Every day I come here and go for a walk, either with my dog, my hawk, or with my family. Me, Caroline, our son Morgan, and my dog Ben, just walking through the beechwood. Now, it can be a pretty elusive thing, the yaffle, and you'll only know it if you've ever heard it, and even then it might not be what you think it is. Is that a yaffle? No, that's chicken. Chicken in the woods. Up there on that oak tree, sticking out about 8 feet up, a bright yellow mushroom, a fungus, a bracket fungus, which goes by the name of chicken in the woods. And if you very carefully take off the outer layer, don't just pull it off the tree because you'll kill it and you'll damage the mycelium, but if you scrape off a little bit and put it in your risotto or your casserole, it tastes remarkably like chicken. So there we are, nature's own vegetarian option if you don't want to eat meat. That's not a yaffle, that's a great big sheep lorry, I think, probably coming back from the market on its way up the A470. Hang on, that might be a yaffle. Let's see if we can get a bit closer. Now that's definitely a yaffle. It's a very peculiar noise. The noise of the yaffle. And downright elusive it can be as well. Oh, there he is, look! Now, having seen a flash of red, black and white, I can now tell you that what we heard, disappointingly enough, but still fast, wasn't actually a yaffle. Because, I think you probably got it now, yaffling is the noise that a woodpecker makes when it's drumming on a tree to get the bark off, to get the bugs underneath. And the thing is, the yaffle is made by the green woodpecker, whereas I'm pretty sure that the one we've just seen hightailing it down the river was a lesser spotted woodpecker. How do I know this? Well, green woodpeckers are, amazingly enough, green with bits of red on them, and that was a definite black and white flash, which unfortunately means that even though I've been in search of the yaffle, I haven't found it, because it's only the green woodpecker that yaffles, if you're going to be strict about it. The greater spotted one, we should have been looking for drumming. Suddenly it's quieter, apart from the fact that the mower over the river has taken the advantage of the only half decent day in the last 3 months, the only day in which it hadn't poured with rain, to start mowing the campsite. It's one of the sounds of the countryside. But even so, the river's stiller, and we're by the fairy tree, the oldest, most gnarled tree, most gnarled beech in the beechwood. It's a fantastic tree. It's twisted and there are holes and crevices. It looks like something out of every fairy story illustration you've ever seen. And you get this feeling here. This is a very, very old wood. This wood was here when the wood stretched from this bank of the Wye all the way to the sea at Aberystwyth, and these are the descendants of those trees. And there's still some lingering magic about it, because the fairy tree, if you look in the holes and crevices, you quite often find small offerings, little tokens of money left for children to find. My little boy Morgan always loves coming here, because not only is it a good tree to climb, but it's a good tree to find treasure. Let's have a look. And some of the holes are very deep. I can get my hand all the way inside. There we are, right up to the wrist in that one. No, nothing in there. Ah, hang on, I can see some glinting. Yeah, see, I told you, a 20p piece that somebody's left. Now, of course, sometimes it's me or Caroline or the other parents I know who's left them, but sometimes you seem to find it early in the morning. Sometimes you find little ceramic offerings. I once found small pottery angels made from clay, perhaps taken from the riverbank. I've seen local potters digging clay out of the riverbank to use. Little ceramic angels left in the tree. So who's to say that we're still not making some sort of offerings to the old gods, to the Earth Mother, here in the mysterious groves? To the mower. It's like, shut up. One of my favourite times. Sun's just dropping below the horizon. And the birds are singing the dusk chorus. Perfectly accompanied by the rumble of the traffic on the A470. Of course, it's always tempting to want the traffic to shut up. But you know, it's really hard to get away from the sound of traffic in modern life. When it comes to ambience, I think the birds are definitely winning. The babble of the river, the rumble of the traffic, and the song of the birds, the rural symphony by that little-known Welsh classical composer Rhayader. As far as I'm concerned, you can keep the nightingale. The blackbird's always been the boy for me. It's a bit like a good blues guitarist. Not how many notes they play, it's how they play them.